immigration checkpoints are getting harder every day. You know, they're opening trunks and hoods and looking into your stuff. And, you know,
and by the way, they're doing it 50, 60 miles into the country. They're leaving the real areas wide open, but then, yes, using the immigration checkpoint excuse to go after people that are in this country legally.
Yeah, and, you know, there are, like, small things. The past Saturday, the U.S. Postal Service did this huge collection of perishable foods, you know, and you just have to be prepared for anything, and people don't do that.
So your family was down there where Pinochet was at in Chile then, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Wow. Well, he killed a lot of people, and our government helped finance that whole thing. Paula, great to hear from you. Stan, Jeremiah, Richard, and others, your calls coming up. Stay with us. Well, this just in, Macho Man Randy Savage had a heart attack in Florida on the highway and crashed his car over an embankment and died from injuries from that. But I guess these fake Christian cults probably say it's the rapture happening or something. Again, if you want to know who started the whole rapture movement, it was Masonic preachers. And I ought to do a whole show on this. Back in the 1850s, there were a couple of them. Let's go ahead and play a Mason going into a hospital, stopped by someone asking if he truly worships Lucifer and what he had to say. Here is the clip.
Lucifer, what is your problem?
Just that, sir.
Okay.
I'm a Christian, sir.
I'm pure and virtuous and wholesome and innocent. How can you say anything about me?
Sir, you need to be born again.
I am born again.
Now, did you just say that you were Lucifer?
I am Lucifer.
Okay, define Lucifer for me.
Pure, virtuous, wholesome, innocent individual that's out to help people.
Lucifer is?
Yeah.
Say that again. Lucifer is a pure, holy...
Virtuous.
Virtuous. Now, is he the Lucifer that God created?
That's the same one.
Oh, man, this is great. I'm going to put this on the internet.
Oh,
Amen.
God bless you,
Amen.
brother.
Because that's exactly what the Shriners and Masons teach, is that Lucifer is light.
No.
And you're
what about those
confirming
hospitals?
You know what, sir? Jesus said, many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not do these good deeds in your name? And you'll say, away from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you.
Jesus said it?
In Matthew chapter 5.
Mercy.
No.
That's hard to believe.
So you're a Christian and you don't know that. Actually.
No, I really am.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough. The point is he thinks Lucifer is basically Jesus, or two sides of the same coin. And I just want Masons to be honest about it, because I've read the Albert Pike book. I've read the Morals and Dogma. I've read the other big ones that they say are their Bibles, and Lucifer's God, according to the high-level Masons. So low-level Masons should know this. Let's just be honest about it. Let's go to Patrick in England. Patrick, you're on the air. Welcome.
Yes, hello, Alex. I've been listening to you for a while. I know you've got lots of callers, so I'll be very brief.
Well, you're making your last phone call. The world's ending tomorrow.
Oh, well, yes. Well, I can tell you, I'm born again. I'm baptized, filled with the Spirit, speaking in tongues. Yes, by the way, I'll just tell you quickly what they do. They invented that doctrine by twisting Daniel's 70 weeks, by detaching the 70th week of the 69th. And basically, the 7 years, of which 3.5, are days of years. That's 1,260 years already fulfilled in prophecy, whereas the papacy persecuted the saints, basically. And the mark of the beast, the mark in the hand, that's just symbolic how the system would enslave members of the intelligentsia. You know, the mark on the head, the one on the hand would be the manual labourer. It's already been fulfilled. No one knows the day of the hour. But look, I want to quickly tell you, I've got an interesting book here in front of me. Roy Livesey, Understanding the New World Order, World Government and World Religion, Uncovering the New World Order of George Bush. It was written 20 years ago in 1989. 1989 it was written. Therefore, it cannot tell anything that's going to happen after that. It can't, you know. Basically, I just got cast-iron proof here how the Bilderberg Group deliberately sets foreign policy. Because when the establishment gets challenged enough, it starts having to come out and starts having to admit it. You're right. There is Bilderberg. Yeah, but it's just a meeting, just a peer group. We just discuss problems. But back in 1989, they met off the coast of Spain, and I've got it features highlights on the Spotlight. Now, you probably can't get the Spotlight very easy. Back in 1989, cast down, like it says here, sources inside the secret society of international finances and political leaders said their clandestine meeting this year emphasized the need to bring down Mrs. Thatcher because of her refusal to yield...
Yeah, no, that's Jim Tucker. The Spotlight is now American Free Press. And, yes, he did predict almost a year before she had to step down that they would force her out, and the fall of the Berlin Wall, and that Bush would endorse global warming and everything else, because it is a meeting of the superclass and the people that really do, to a great extent, control the world. They're just attempting to fully control it right now. So I hear what you're saying. Anything else, Patrick?
But that's proof that the Bilderberg Group sets foreign policy, because I'm well aware here in London of the article that came out a few months ago in The Economist, when they had to start admitting it, that yes, it exists, but we're not really in control. Yeah, we just discussed this. But obviously, there's an inner core that actually set deliberate foreign policy.
I appreciate your call. They had the Financial Times of London 2 years ago come out with one of their main editors, their international affairs editor, and now for world government. You just type in, and now for world government, FT, Financial Times. And he said, well, yes, we are authoritarian. It has been secret because you're too stupid to enjoy it. And we do need an authoritarian world government. And since then, they've had all these big environmental leaders call for green fascism. They call it that. And they say we're going to control every facet of your life for the earth. And that's just their cover story. Absolutely. I mean, it's world government is now being openly announced. It's already been in place for a long time. Okay, Dr. Jerome Corsi, during the break when I got him online here to be a guest, dropped a big bombshell on me. He has got it narrowed down to even who needs to be looked at concerning this birth certificate. This is obviously bombshell stuff. We've got Bob Chapman coming up. Doc could even do an hour with us, but I don't want to keep short shrifting Bob Chapman. But I definitely want to get Dr. Corsi back up next week as well. But for those that just joined us, in the last 3 years, I've looked at the birth certificate thing. I found it curious that they spent over $2 million now blocking the release of the long form. They had Chris Matthews and others with talking points say there is no long form. It doesn't exist, that the receipt was the long form. Then, responding to Dr. Corsi's book a month ago, ahead of its publication, Where is the Birth Certificate, that I have here in my hot little hand. Obama comes out, obviously, with the press conference. We have a new video out breaking this down. Bombshell, new birth certificate, a forgery. That's up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com and up on the Alex Jones channel. And it basically encapsulates the latest developments. But now I'm getting even more sure that they're running scared and that the research of Dr. Corsi and others is spot on. Now, Dr. Corsi's been to Kenya. He's traveled all over, Hawaii, you name it, really trying to get to the bottom of this. And just a year ago or 6 months ago, he wasn't sure. He just said, clearly there's evidence of a cover-up, so we need to look at it. But now he's coming out and saying that he's sure it's a composite of other real birth certificates, that he now is getting hot on the trail of who he believes may know something about where this newest birth certificate came from. We have the headline from yesterday, Birther Bombshell, Corsi to release evidence proving Obama certificate a fraud composite. But then 2 days ago, we see Esquire come out and run a headline breaking in their politics section, not their humor section, Jerome Corsi's birther book pulled from shelves. Now, that's obviously done to create the perception it's discredited by the publisher. So people have runs on the bookstores and say, I want my money back. So they get scared and pull the book. It is extreme economic espionage. Then 5-6 hours after it's published, they come out at the bottom and bury in a paragraph, this was satire, when clearly it was put out to damage them. And WorldNet Daily Books, Dr. Jerome Corsi, Joseph Farah. This shows desperate desperate concern by the White House and their surrogate, known surrogate Esquire. The same day, the White House said they're going to run on the birth certificate with coffee cups and T-shirts with the slogan, Made in America, with Barack Obama on it, with a copy of the new fake birth certificate. Now, we've looked at it. We're going to go over why it's fake, how it's a composite, the total proof, and more. And the fact that they blinked, Dr. Corsi and others, smoked them out of their holes, and the president blinked. Dr. Corsi, this gets crazier and crazier by the minute. Thank you for joining us.
Well, great to be with you, Alex. And I've never in my life seen the White House attack and attempt to suppress or censor a book as strong as mine. I mean, now the Democratic National Party and the President's Re-Election Committee are sending out this letter soliciting funds. They mention me by name in the first sentence and then vilify the book. They even sent the letter to me, addressing me to give them funds. Of course, I sent them some money and got a mug. I mean, it's ridiculous. This type of attempt to suppress a book is counter to the First Amendment, and what it shows is that the information in this book, I've said this from the beginning, the White House, the Obama administration, they will not survive if the American people read what's in this book and understand it.
Well, you're absolutely right. Where do you want to start? Let's start with a recap of the old birth certificate they claimed was the original and no other long form existed. Then they flip-flop there. Now we've the proof that this new one is a joke-level fraud.
Joke-level fraud. And, I want to make 2 points, Alex. First of all, if this new long-form birth certificate existed, why wasn't it released 3 years ago? Why didn't we have this instead of the short-form certificate of live birth? And, Alex, I got a call about 3 weeks before it was released from one of my sources in Hawaii, and I was told that the new long-form birth certificate had been forged. It had been slipped into the logbook. We actually had somebody go into the logbook and read it to us. I knew it said Kapiolani. I knew it said Dr. Sinclair. And I documented all that with Joseph Farah in an email. And I said we better get out front and say that it's likely to be a forgery. But we all decided, hey, this is great. If the book smokes out Obama and, they blink, they feel fear, they have to respond to try to destroy the book, now we've got Barack Obama personally committed, coming to the press room saying, this is my birth certificate.
This is like Nixon coming out and lying in the press conference and saying that he wasn't involved in the break-in.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And now the White House is committed to this document. They can't say, oh, no, we meant the other birth certificate. If this document proves to be falsified, the Obama administration of necessity comes to an end because they tried to preserve the administration with a criminal fraud.
All right, let me stop you for a moment. You mentioned the fact that why didn't they bring this out 3 years ago and say that no long form existed? Why did Abercrombie get into office, the new governor of Hawaii, and say, I'm going to go down there and release it, and then tell two newspapers, as you reported, but mainline papers there in Hawaii, that I looked for it and couldn't find it. This is, quote, going to be a problem in the upcoming election. And then magically, it does pop up, and you've got moles inside of there, because you've already been there snooping around, that told you, hey, guess what, Dr. Corsi, it looks like I Dream of Jeannie, made it appear in there.
Well, and, I think the falsification occurred between the time when Abercrombie could not find any evidence of a long-form birth certificate, and we had that Michael Evans come out and say so, the celebrity reporter from Hollywood, saying he talked to Abercrombie, and Abercrombie could not find the long form. That's when the forgers started to work seriously, knowing my book was coming out. And by the way, Donald Trump, I discount. I'm completely convinced at this point Donald Trump was subterfuge, that he called me 2 or 3 times, got me to give him a copy of the book in advance. I'm convinced Donald Trump was, through Mike Cohen, it seems to be 50-50 working with Obama. They were close to Schumer. So Donald Trump says, let's beat the drums big, then you release the birth certificate. I'll say satisfies me. The press will go to sleep, and I'll get my new $60 million contract.
Well, I'll tell you the dead ringer. He'll get his new $60 million NBC contract.
Which is GE.
which is GE, which got bailout money, and Rachel Maddow and all of them. But expanding, here's the dead ringer. The 2 days after he's, quote, discredited by Obama, he goes into a cussing tirade. He's a very shrewd guy, meant to further plunge him in the numbers and to further discredit.
And by the way, I'm going to watch very carefully and see if Donald Trump pops up to build the casinos in Chicago now that Ronald